On October 7th, I spoke for the first time with one of the many Israelis concerned about the fate of their loved ones living in the Gaza border communities that were attacked that day by Hamas terrorists. Now, Ella Moore was desperately seeking information about her nieces and nephew after their parents, Ro'i and Smadar Idan, were murdered at their home in Kibbutz Kfar Aza. And Ella's 9-year-old nephew, Michael called her to say that, quote, terrorists came to the house and they killed daddy, then they killed mommy. Well, Ella then lost touch with the boy who was with his sisters, 6-year-old Amalia, and then the then 3-year-old Abigail, who were trying to hold from the terrorists. Now, as it turned out, Michael, and Amalia were rescued later that day after hiding in a closet. But Abigail, who was given to neighbors for protection, was in fact taken captive into Gaza, become one of the youngest hostages there. Now, Abigail was finally released on November 26th after turning 4 years old, her 4th birthday taking place while she was in captivity, of course, freed in that deal mediated by the U.S. and Qatar. Here is a snippet of the conversation that I had with Ella Moore about her family down on the Gaza border on October 7th.
I hope my nephews are alive. I hope they're okay. I tried to talk to the police, to the army. Nobody's helping me. I mean, nobody's getting to these children, and they have to be saved because they're alone for 12 hours inside of the house with the parents dead.
This is a terrible situation.
And I don't know what to do.
And joining us now is Ella Moore, of course, aunt of the released hostage Avigail Idan, joining us from Cologne. Ella, I don't know if you remember that conversation. I do. That was the first one I had during my entire coverage, speaking to someone concerned about what may have been their fate of it. As it turned out, your nephew and or the older niece was saved. Of course, concern over the fate of Avigail. The whole country did. She became one of the best-known faces there in captivity. How is your family doing now that there is a reunited? Of course, still the death of their parents, the tragedy that we also have to keep in mind. But how is the family doing with maybe some kind of closure after the release of Abigail?
Well, of course, we've been waiting for her for 52 days to be released from the terrorists of Hamas. And it was very long, 52 days. It was very hard for us, for the family, because we rescued, they were rescued, the 2 children were rescued, and the baby sister was kidnapped, and so hard. But now we can just be happy that she's with us, and she's okay, and she's been saved. And I've been very grateful for that. But, you know, it's still very hard for the family. We've been through something so hard, as you heard on the 7th. You know, I didn't even remember I spoke to you that day because it was the most horrible day in my life. You know, I was like begging for people to help me, can somebody just save the children? And yeah, but we're very happy that she's back, and we can start to heal the family, can start to try to heal the family.
Right, and that's something that we should mention. The older, your nephew and the older sister had spent hours in a closet hiding, somehow managed to survive through the day, of course. Let me ask you, because the U.S. did get involved in this case. Abigail, yes, the parts of the family have American citizenship, I believe. There was a call with President Biden, if I'm correct, and some members of the family. I don't know if you were on it. We spoke with that. Was there a role with the U.S., contact with the U.S. Throughout this process?
Well, Abigail had an American citizenship, so I know that a lot of people try to help us. I'm sorry I wasn't involved in that to tell you about it, but I know there were, and we can't thank enough the U.S. for helping, and President Biden for doing all this amazing things for us, because I don't know if she would be saved if not. But I wasn't involved with what is going on, about that.
Right. And let's talk about just, of course, and we do have to keep in mind that the hostages who are still there, unfortunately, children, very young children, we don't know, could be even someone younger than Abigail. We're not sure about that, and I don't want to speculate because there's been a lot of misinformation. Let's talk about that, the need to still do whatever it takes, both in messages to the international community and also here in Israel, to see that those hostages are returned.
Yeah, it's exactly what I feel. I mean, Abigail is back, and it's amazing, but so many people are still there in the hands of Hamas. And Hamas or ISIS, they are cruel, cruel people, and they kidnapped babies and women, and they killed and they slaughtered and they did terrible things to innocent people. And there are so many people are still in the hands of Hamas, women and men and soldiers and babies, and we have to bring them back. We should not forget about them, not even for 1 minute. Even my niece is back, my nephew, I'm sorry, she's back, and I can't be more happy that she's back. But what about all the other families that their beloved ones are not back, and they're still there in the tunnels of Hamas, not being fed and being abused, terribly abused? We're hearing terrible things from the people that are coming back from Gaza, and they are being abused and terrorized and beaten and not fed and cold and God knows what. And we have to bring them back. We have to bring them back. I mean, this is not enough. There are more than 100 and I can't remember, 160, 80 left there. And it's not enough to bring just a little part of them back. They all have to come back. Everybody has to come back, for their mothers, for the parents, for the grandmothers, for everyone.
Right, and that's certainly our deepest wish at this point. I also want to wish you the best for Abigail and both her brother and sister also, as they make their recoveries from this traumatic event. And also, of course, we cannot forget and must continue to mourn for their parents. May their memory a blessing. I thank you for joining me that day on October 7th, and I'm glad that there is some closure that we have for that conversation in this one that we're having now. Ellen Moore, thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.